The Bay Area in San Francisco is a stunning venue for an air show. That's why we headed to Fleet Week 2023, which featured an extraordinary low-level display by the US Navy Blue Angels. Welcome to San Francisco for a mini episode of Airshow Dispatches featuring the Friday show at Fleet Week 2023. It's just a short one, mainly because this is only a small show. 9 flying display performers on Friday, with a few more that we didn't see joining the lineup on Saturday and Sunday, most notably the Patriots jet team. Very shortly, a Fleet Week tradition in the form of a display by United Airlines. Then we've got an interesting F-35B solo, including a hover demonstration. Several flybys and civilian acts take us to the 12-minute mark, and we close the show with the Blue Angels. But let's get straight to the action with the US Navy's Leapfrogs parachute team. They're not jumping with an American flag as they would have done in the past. That tradition was banned earlier this year because it technically violated the flag code by having the flag touch the ground. Instead, they now jump with the First Navy Jack. This was once the flag flown by US Navy vessels while at anchor, but is now only really used for ceremonial purposes. United Airlines always contribute to the Fleet Week flying display, and this time they performed with a 777-300ER. United has a major base here in San Francisco, one of 8 bases they have around the country. They operate a total of over 900 aircraft, including 22 of these 777-300ERs, which are one of the highest capacity aircraft in their fleet, carrying some 350 passengers. Only their 777-200s carry more people than that. This is one of the very few occasions when you can see a full display being performed by an airliner, certainly the only place in North America where you can regularly see that. It's not quite as gutsy as the Airbus and Boeing company demonstrations flown by their in-house test pilots, but still a very impressive sight, with some imposing negative G bunts.
Yeah, I want to see vapes. I want to see my cones.
See it on that?
I would like to see it.
It's in row. It's in row for me.
And speaking of impressive sights, here is a rather interesting display. Solo performance by a US Marine Corps F-35B. Now usually the US Marine Corps approve a simple non-aerobatic display profile for an aircraft type, and any squadron can perform it. But for the F-35 they've made the unusual step of training up an official demonstration crew from Marine Fighter Attack Training Squadron 502, and that has resulted in this fully aerobatic F-35B demonstration. In fact, this is the only squadron in the world to perform a full aerobatic sequence in a B-model F-35 at the moment. The F-35B was designed to meet a Marine Corps and Royal Navy requirement to replace the Harrier, and that meant it had to be capable of operating from amphibious assault ships and aircraft carriers which are not equipped with catapults or arrestor systems. It was the first model of the F-35 to reach initial operating capability, which is achieved with the Marine Corps in 2015. This is not something I expected to see from a very heavy 15-ton Stovall aircraft, a pedal turn. Not as neat or as compact as that of the more nimble F-22, but remember, this aircraft is not currently utilising any thrust vectoring, which makes this very impressive indeed. And coming up next, a demonstration of the vertical lift system. Time for a change of pace and noise level, but another opportunity to see aircraft hovering low above the bay. Next to display a pair of HH-65 door fans from the US Coast Guard. This was not much of a display, one loose formation pass and then the aircraft hovered in front of the crowd to demonstrate the offloading and recovery of a rescue diver. This aircraft, which was developed by Eurocopter, was selected by the US Coast Guard in 1979 for use as a medical evacuation, search and rescue, drug interdiction and armed patrol platform. It has been heavily optimised for those roles with a dedicated autopilot that can automatically perform various approach and hover profiles or autonomously fly unaided search patterns, allowing the crew to focus on other tasks while the aircraft flies itself. These particular aircraft are C models, meaning they've been upgraded with new avionics and cockpit instruments, plus a new Turbomeca Ariel 2C2 CG engine, providing 40% more power than the original power plants. Up next is the Memorial Squadron, an eclectic group of local general aviation pilots and aircraft, all Vans RV kit planes or beach bonanzas, performing several flypasts in various, consistently asymmetrical 10-ship formations. And then a fly past by a C-130H Hercules, the oldest variant of Hercules in current US Air Force service. Now a CT-133 Silver Star from Acemaker Airshows. That's the Canadian license-built version of the T-33 Shooting Star, which is itself the two-seat training version of the Lockheed P-80, which was North America's first operational jet-powered fighter. It's displayed here by Greg Collier, who's been flying T-33s at airshows for many years and has recently set up a two-ship formation act. I understand he's planning to debut a three-ship performance in 2024. The show was closed by the US Navy Blue Angels. Their show opens with some flypasts by their C-130J-30 support aircraft before the jets take centre stage. And here come the Super Hornets. This display was filmed from two angles, and the video you see now was recorded from Alcatraz Island on the opposite side of the aerobatic box, with the San Francisco skyline in the background. You'll also notice a chase plane flying alongside the team throughout much of this performance, carrying the team photographer. This is now the Blue Angels' third season on the Super Hornets, a larger, heavier and more powerful mount than their previous Legacy Hornets. That has both advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is a roll rate which is not especially good in the Supers. Demonstrating about 150 degrees per second there. Remember, we saw the Rafale rolling at 265 degrees per second in the previous episode, so quite a big difference in roll performance. But the advantages? Well, that extra size makes the aircraft feel closer to us and closer to each other. The formations actually aren't quite as tight as they used to be, but it's still probably the tightest formation flying of any aerobatic team globally. A dirty loop with full afterburner. The smoke doesn't vaporise properly with the afterburners engaged, but now the reheat goes off over the top of the loop, the exhaust gas temperature cools down and the smoke begins to billow properly once again. Incidentally, the Blue Angels are the only team in the world to perform a formation dirty loop. And now get ready to enjoy the benefits of having a camera out on Alcatraz. double mirror pass is known as the double Farvel. And who doesn't love a sneak pass? Look out for the aircraft actually generating wake on the surface of the water. There are some lovely six-ship bomb bursts towards the end of the show. This is one of them, the Fleur de Lys. The soloists actually pushing negative G to break away from the formation, and then all 6 jets flying twinkle rolls. Now, I've seen most of the world's current military jet aerobatic teams, but this was my first time seeing the Blue Angels, and one thing really stood out. That's the length of the performance. At 40 minutes, it's nearly double the length of most other aerobatic teams. Sadly, it didn't really feel that there was 40 minutes of content in their show. There were some unforgivably long gaps between manoeuvres and some really rather lengthy rejoins. They have just 27 manoeuvres in their 40-minute show. That's one manoeuvre every 90 seconds on average. Compare that to the Patrouille de France last episode. They have almost the same number of manoeuvres, but their show only lasts 21 minutes, almost half the amount of time. The flying here is absolutely excellent, but the choreography certainly feels like it could benefit from some tweaks. Now, to end the show, the Delta breakout over Alcatraz. So, a relatively short show, but certainly a fun one. I hope you'll join us once again next time to see the other 2 North American military jet teams, the Thunderbirds and the Snowbirds, at Salinas. Until then, thank you very much for joining us. With me, Adam Landau, it's goodbye for now.